We're going to talk about masculinity as a whole and what actually makes a high value man, because I get asked this question all the time. And I also notice there's a whole bunch of red pill creators and people on the internet, and there's a whole bunch of dorks who are popping up.
They get it wrong.
Who get it completely wrong, and they talk about money, or they do a bunch of drugs and run their mouth, and they're a bunch of clowns. So we're going to make it very clear what a man is and what a man should be. And we're going to explain it in an extremely concise, compendious, detailed way. And I guarantee you what we're going to do is provide you a blueprint to be the most successful version of yourself and genuinely be able to live a life worth living and make an impact on the universe, not only to your family and the immediate people who are close to you, but the universe as a whole. I'm going to explain to you some very important concepts. Some of them will be nuanced and difficult. Some of them will be very simple, but we're not just going to sit and do the normal thing. We say, high value man, get in good shape, get some money. We're not going to talk about the things. We're going to talk about all the nuanced small points that makes a man respected by his peers and respected by women. In depth. So we would like you to get a pen and paper and take notes and pay attention. And anybody who takes detailed notes from this emergency meeting, please tweet them at me afterwards at Cobra Tate, and I'll retweet, because I want to see the kind of notes you take and how detailed they are. So we have a lot to talk about. We'll be answering your questions in super chats. Anytime you can super chat us. All that money goes to TatePledge.com. If you're not sure what TatePledge.com is, we spend $25 million a year feeding people from war-torn countries all around the world, primarily children. All of our haters, of course, donate no money to anybody because all they do is hate. We're actually out here trying to save the world because we are Tates. Little rhyme there for you, Mr. Producer. So, I'm a G.
You know.
So, I am. So, before we begin, wait. There's a Matrix agent.
A mosquito?
From the Matrix. There's an agent, yeah.
Well, a little miniature spy bot. So we have to kill it with fly spray. Where is he? I don't see him.
There's a Matrix agent.
That is a mosquito, Andrew.
I saw him, and he's sent by the Matrix to take our blood.
He must be.
He wanted to get our DNA back to the lab so they can try and replicate us and create the evil versions of us which work for the Matrix. So the only thing powerful enough to counter us. Don't you understand? If that mosquito bites us, that we're in trouble. The whole world's in trouble. The only thing that can beat Andrew and Tristan Tate are the evil versions of Andrew and Tristan Tate. Dark Andrew and Tristan Tate. That mosquito is sent by the Matrix to get our DNA.
Yeah, because the geeks who are trying aren't doing a very good job. So
correct.
They need to upgrade the strength of their army, and they need our blood to do so. Okay, keep an eye out. Be ready. Stay vigilant. We see that mosquito. If I see that mosquito, he's dying.
Raid.
So first, you want to talk about why so many people get what a high value man is wrong. Because I want to make this very clear. I get sent clips all the time of influencers, red pill dudes, blah, blah, blah. And because I don't talk to any of them, a lot of them seem to not like me. But I just want to make something very clear before we start. I don't know who these people are. I go through my whole life not knowing who these people are. They're insignificant. They're unimportant. They're not worth listening to. And then what happens is someone sends me a clip, and there'll be some dork sitting there be like, yeah, me and the Tates really don't get along because don't get along. I don't fucking know you. I don't know where the ego comes from in these people, but they're wrong about almost everything that I see them speak on. And obviously they don't like me. They're wrong about everything, because how can you not like me? And how can you not think I'm a positive force for the world? So I don't know who most of these geeks are that you're talking about, Andrew. But I certainly don't watch their content. I certainly don't watch their podcast.
Neither do I. I just want to clarify once and for all what our beliefs are, what we believe a high value man is, and how a man should live his life in a detailed way. Because on podcasts, I usually give a very short answer because I don't have unlimited time. But here on an emergency meeting, we have unlimited time. And that's why we're going to give a very in-depth answer. And we're going to give people a framework they can live by. We already have the tenets, which you can see on cominggg.com, the 41 tenets of life. And if you live by those tenets, then you stand a very good chance of being an extremely capable and successful man. However, we're going to give a lot more detail on what I believe the problems with masculinity are today, and how to be the best version of yourself, and how to be a prime male in the modern world, and to live a life worth living and make an impact on the universe. So that's what we're going to do.
Because it's hard in 2023.
It's absolutely not really hard, and it's going to get harder and harder. It's certainly not going to get easier. While we do that, we're going to keep an eye out for the Matrix agent, because he must be assassinated.
Yeah, I know.
Right. We begin. Many young men are under the impression that manhood is elevating themselves with their mouths void of anything behind it. And you couldn't be more wrong. They confuse the idea of peacocking, which is, I believe, is quite a masculine trait. People think that if you're truly secure, you don't want a nice car, you don't want a fancy watch. I disagree. I think since the beginning of human time, men have always peacocked. We've always shown our value with material things. It doesn't matter if we went to war and killed the enemy and took a feather from the enemy and put it in our hat. Doesn't matter if we chopped our enemy's heads off. Doesn't matter if we took a piece of gold and wore it around our neck that we stole from some village we raided. We've always been peacocking to a degree. We've always been showing the world that we're valuable and that we're successful and that we've done something important. And peacocking is very important, but men have got this confused and they think that they can just use their mouths to elevate themselves without any genuine substance behind it. And that's one of the largest mistakes, because that shows, one, insecurity, and two, when you're genuinely tested, and God will make sure that you are, you're going to fail. So it's very important you're not the kind of person who thinks, I understand I need to elevate myself as a man. I understand I need to be high status. I understand I need to be respected. I'm going to do that with a big mouth and no genuine capability to back that up. That's one of the biggest mistakes. In fact, it's extremely feminine.
And God's going to test you if you keep running your mouth.
God's going to test you. I really believe the reason we went to jail is because we became the most famous men in the world for our mental fortitude. And if you're going to be called the top G, and we're going to be the Tate brothers, and we're going to be known for our mental fortitude, God is going to test our mental fortitude by throwing us in a Romanian dungeon surrounded with cockroaches. There's no way you can become the top G of the planet. There's no way you can become the most famous brothers on earth and be respected for your mental fortitude and all the things you teach, and God not test you.
Because there are people out in the world who preach mental fortitude, etc., who break down whenever anything difficult happens to them.
Absolutely. And God is always watching. So it's very important you're not just somebody with a big mouth. You have to have some genuine things to back it up. Substance. And I feel like a lot of you didn't have a present father or a strong father figure to emulate. So you have no frame of reference for masculinity. So you see these idiots with a big mouth online. You think having a big mouth is going to be enough. And it's not enough for God. It's not enough for the reality of the world, because if you walk around with a big enough mouth, eventually you're going to get checked. You can get the shit kicked out of you. Yep. And it's also not enough for females. You need to understand that if you convince a woman you're high value with your mouth and your mouth alone, sooner or later she's going to realize you are a liar. And that is when she's going to leave you. So if you're sitting at home thinking, well, I had this girl, she thought I was the man. A few months later, she's not that interested in me. Yeah, because she got to know you better. She saw behind the bravado, and she saw that you don't really have any genuine real world achievements. You haven't really done anything that's super interesting. You have to do things that make men respect you for women to respect you. And usually those things require a degree of bravery. Men have always been respected for our bravery. We did the brave thing, and it is the brave thing on the other side of fear, which is going to build your character and build your internal self-belief, but it's also going to build a magic inside of you that a woman can see when she looks inside of your eyes. It's also going to build a magic inside of you that people can see when they look in your eyes. When people look in my eyes, they know I've been brave, and they know I'll be brave again, and they don't want to test my bravery because they know it exists, and they know it's been tested. They know it is real. So this is very important. People confuse this and say, oh, yeah, confident men don't talk, confident men don't brag. And they're saying that because a lot of people who are bragging have nothing to back it up. Once again, I slightly disagree. If you have enough to back it up, you are allowed to brag. But you have to make sure there are real world achievements and you're not living in any kind of delusion. Absolutely everything as a man is your responsibility. It's your responsibility to become your best and brightest version of yourself. And you're not going to do that simply by talking it into existence. You need to live it into existence. You need to go out there and do things which are genuinely difficult, genuinely stressful, which are genuinely scary, so you can become the man you want to be. So you have to take responsibility for these things, and you have to seek them and choose and find the correct difficulties for you to overcome so you can build a character worth having. It's the information that you absorb and what you do with it that will ultimately mold and shape who you want to become. So every single one of you who is watching this, you're in the right place at the right time. We're going to give you some very important information today. I hope you implement it and you use it as a version of yourself. But it's also very important that you create the world you live in. You create your reality. You create the information you absorb, and you're not sitting there absorbing garbage from loudmouth idiots or matrix programming that's designed to keep you inside of the slave mind. You have to be very careful with the things you consume. So I want you to think at home, before we read the super chats, which we're about to do, I want you to think, besides your loud mouth